Michael Feinstein from his first Sinatra Project CD, Begin the Begin, martiniinthemorning.com, 925 in the West. Coming up after the break, Joseph Leo Bwarie. Find out all about the guy that's been on the road for like 25 or 30 years is Frankie Valli. He's coming up on Martini in the Morning. Brought to you this hour by Peter Ackerman, Alexandria, Virginia. We affectionately refer to Peter as Peter the Priest because he is a priest. Philida Hutchison in Waleska, Georgia, and Lynn Menifee in Baltimore, Maryland, who is pleased to sponsor Joseph Leo Bwarie's Hour because she says she's his biggest fan. It's martiniinthemorning.com. By the way, Tricia Clark, also a big fan, listening in Indianapolis, Indiana. We're setting a new standard for your radio with Joseph Leo Bwarie. Up next, it's martiniinthemorning.com.
Welcome to the Lounge Sound.
Now that's music.
He's in the studio, and we're going to ask him lots of questions about this song and more from his album, Nothing But Love, Joseph Leo Bwarie on martiniinthemorning.com. martiniinthemorning.com, Joseph Leo Bwarie, the album, Nothing But Love. In fact, chance for you to win it today. All day we're doing the Thursday thing we always do, giving CDs away. But today, he's here in the studio. You know, it's funny because we've been saying after 4 years of playing Frankie Valli in Jersey Boys, today you get to play Joseph Leo Bwarie. How's that feel?
Normal.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. So it's not too hard to switch out of the role?
No.
But last Sunday was your last performance.
Yeah.
After 4 years. That's crazy.
Well, 5 years total, but 4 years on the road.
No kidding.
Yeah.
So how did that whole thing come about, Jersey Boys? We'll start with that.
I mean, it really was just an audition. You know, just like an old school audition, and it sort of snowballed, you know?
Is there a Carole King connection to that?
Well, I was in Happy Days the Musical at the Falcon Theater around the corner from here.
Gary Marshall, bless his heart.
I love him.
Yeah.
And I'm having lunch with them today, actually.
Really?
Yeah. I'll tell them you say hi.
You know, I mean, just an aside, and you know this, but for those of us who sit on the other side of the camera watching what you guys do, you know, I go back to, because we've spent some time with Jonathan Winters, I go back to Mork and Mindy, which was Gary, and it was, and he was innovating. He was using more cameras on sitcoms than anyone had ever used before, and doing, you know, Robin Williams and Jonathan Winters, the crazy ad-libs, and you know, Pam Dauber trying to keep up.
Yeah.
I mean, Gary, and the movies that he's done, I mean, he's just this unbelievable talent. That must have been crazy working for him.
It's wonderful. You know, he's still like that. He still encourages all the actors to bring something new to the table and to really try something, because he's really open to that. Let's try it. Let's see. Maybe it's going to be great. And that's a great way.
I can hear him saying that. You know, I've heard him interview. I've always wanted to interview him. I've heard him interviewed so many times, and I can hear him. I mean, I can hear it in his delivery.
In his Joe, you're gonna try something, and it's gonna be good.
I like it, Gary Marshall. That's great. Okay, so you were working on doing the thing at the Falcon Theater.
Yeah, so we're doing Happy Days the Musical,
right?
And Carole King had come to see the show, and afterwards she said, you know, they're doing this show in La Jolla, and you should be playing Frankie Valli. And at this point, nobody really even knew what Jersey Boys was. You know, it was a little show they were doing at La Jolla, and then that show moved so quickly to Broadway and opening and winning the Tony and going on tour and opening in London and Vegas and Canada and everywhere. It's because it's incredible, you know, and everyone that comes to see it knows it, and that's why so many people come to see it again and again and again. But Carole King, without her sort of pointing it out to me, I probably wouldn't have really had it in my mind, you know?
That's too funny. She comes to see you in Happy Days the Musical, suggests that you try out for Jersey Boys.
And here we are.
And singing one of her songs.
Yeah.
Joseph Leo Bwarie from his CD, Nothing But Love. Carole King and Jerry Goffin wrote, Will You Still Love Me Tomorrow? It's on Martini in the Morning.
I'm having lunch with him today.
Well, we were just talking. One of the things we joke about here at martiniinthemorning.com is that when we have a guest in the studio, it's a shame that we can't like have a separate channel where people can listen to the conversation while I mean, obviously they won't hear the music, but because we were talking off when the song was playing, we were talking about Valentine's Day. You've had some success on the big screen.
Yeah. Well, I guess Valentine's Day is probably the most screen time where I'm actually speaking, but that was a great movie. That was sort of Gary's first foray into bringing all the different celebrities together to do the little scenes that all sort of interweave together.
Right.
So I always call that Valentine's Day is the movie with the big stars and me.
I like. Well, you had a pretty. I mean, you had a significant role because immediately when I heard which part you played, I could. But as I told you off when we were talking about it, I couldn't remember if you were the guy pushing the mail cart or the guy that knew when Valentine's Day was, or the guy who didn't. And you turned.
I knew.
You knew.
I knew.
You're right on it. Joseph Leo Bwarie on MartiniInTheMorning.com. So you've done movies, you've done theater, and now you got an album out. What do you consider yourself? Are you an actor, singer? What are you?
I've sung forever.
Yeah.
So that's the constant.
Yeah.
And I think it's the thing that I love the most to sing. And I will happily step into the acting shoes. And then, if I must, I will do the dancing.
You danced in Jersey Boys.
I do, yeah. Or I did. That's weird to say. It's past tense now. I did.
Is that weird for you?
I did. Yeah, a little bit, and actually, it feels really great to be sitting here with you, because without stopping, I wouldn't be here.
You know, that's a good point, because Sunday was your last performance. So this album, I told you that it was sort of an accident that we found it, and it's a long story, but the album came out last July.
Yep.
And we found out about it maybe February of this year, I think, and just immediately were enthralled. I mean, this is what we're looking for. Here's this young guy. You got charisma, you got style. You're very current, very contemporary. You're Hollywood, and you're doing these songs that, part of the reason we're doing this is we started with Clear Channel, was a big radio company, 1,000 some odd radio stations, but like most mainstream broadcasters, this is a format they sort of abandoned because they thought that the audience was aging. You are one of the guys who can very easily prove that this is very contemporary. This is a very hip album. I mean, and you have to start, I think, with Umbrella. I mean, who came up with that idea?
It was sort of a combination of people. We had chosen pretty much every single song on the album. Charlie Colello was arranging. We were sort of down to the wire when I was coming in to do the recording, and I was sitting outside in a little cafe in Des Moines, Iowa, doing Jersey Boys.
Of all places.
Of all places. Great city, actually.
Yeah.
Des Moines, great city. I was sitting at a little restaurant outside, and I'm on the phone with one of my friends, and I said, I need a song that's, totally out of the box, that we can put into this new box that we're creating.
Sure.
And this was one of the songs I was like, I love that song. I love the lyric of that song.
Right.
I love the melody of that song. And we could do something with it.
Right.
And that's what we did.
It's really, I mean, using Rihanna's song Umbrella, which was a couple years old, and tying that song together with a song that I want to say Easter Parade, Irving Berlin's musical, I want to say it was like 1939, 37,
I think
there.
something in there, yeah.
Late 30s. So here's a song that's like, almost 100 years old. So you take these two really different songs and you make them make sense together. It's, I mean, was that Charlie's idea?
That was me.
That
actually was me.
Wow. Because we should back up. Charlie Colello is this amazing arranger, primarily known as an arranger, but he produced the album too, right?
He certainly did.
How did you guys wind up together?
It was one of those backstage meetings. Charlie was an original Four Seasons member. And we don't really elaborate on that too much within the context of the play. He had a lot more to do with the success of the group than 2.5 hours can really give time. A lot of people did, actually. And we met backstage in Florida, and over a year or so later, after a little bit of correspondence, then we came up with this idea. And actually, it was my idea. I said, hey, I want to do this album. And he said, no, I'm not doing an album with you. And
wow.
he said, everyone wants to do an album. You don't want to do an album. You blah, 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 blah. And I said, no, I'm doing an album. And I'd love for you to collaborate with me. Because from where I come from, theater or whatever it is, I like to work with people. I don't like to just do something on my own,
Right,
and so I really want to team up with somebody who could bring something to the table that I couldn't. And in walks Charlie Colello with the brilliant arrangements. I mean, brilliant, right?
I don't even know the word. Brilliant is like it's an understatement. I mean, these arrangements, and one in particular, when we started this thing, one of the things we didn't want to do like good artists doing bad covers of pop songs. You know, there was that period where there are certain artists, I won't mention any of their names, but certain artists were compelled by their record labels to compete with rock and roll when it was coming out, like in the 60s. There were artists like I used to work with Mel Torme's daughter, Daisy, and Daisy told me a very funny story about her dad's record label pushing him to do pop stuff, and he hated it, but he did it because, you know, rock and roll was starting to take over, blah, blah, blah. So when we set out to do this format, to young the standard format and prove that it's still cool and hip, we said we weren't going to play any, like, jazzy covers of pop songs. Well, that was until this. I mean, talk about brilliant arrangements to take this great Lieber and Stoller song and make it big and brassy. And Joseph Leo Bwarie, Stand By Me on MartiniInTheMorning.com. MartiniInTheMorning.com. It's Joseph Leo Bwarie, Lieber and Stoller's classic. This is a funny story. We were going to have Mike Lieber's wife was going to come in. She did a Christmas stuff. She's a harpist, jazz harpist. Didn't know there was a jazz harpist, but it's a very good Christmas album. But anyway, she's coming in, and we're trying to set it all up. And so she calls Mother Miriam. We're at a club doing a live broadcast, and she said, hey, I'm glad we connected. I'm looking forward to coming in. We're just getting back from New York. My husband was there doing a TV show. And Miriam said, who's your husband? And she said, Mike Stoller. And Mother Miriam said, what's he do? And Corky said, he writes songs. And Mother Miriam said, any I would have heard? And she said, well, how about Stand By Me? And Mother Miriam went a little nutty. And then you come along, and here's this thing. And so we sent them a copy of the CD. This album is just so fresh, and I mean, really unique arrangements. And I mean, you're like a natural at this. I mean, is this something? Because a lot of guys, you know, you're a young guy, and you know, a lot of young guys want to do, you know, branch off into other kinds of music and stuff. I mean, does this feel like home to you musically?
Yeah, this feels like home. And when I branch off, I do things like Jersey Boys.
So your branch is almost like a parallel career.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So you're going to do more stage, more movies?
I don't know. Someone needs to call me.
Wow. Or maybe your agent needs to call someone.
Yeah, right.
So what's next? You just finished up Sunday in Portland, Oregon.
Portland,
with Jersey
Oregon.
Boys.
Beautiful city. Have you been?
Yeah, many times. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then I go back to Florida, and I start work on the new album.
On a new album. Mm-hmm. So any idea of the songs yet? Have you and Charlie?
Oh, yeah.
Really? Can you give us any hints? Or if you tell us, you have to kill us.
Maybe that.
No, it's funny because I
like to keep it a surprise because it makes it more exciting.
I will tell you that when we finally found the album 6 months after it came out,
sure,
it was a surprise. It was I'd heard of you, and I knew of you as an actor, and I'd heard some people talking about you in the Falcon Theater before, and Falcon Theater, for those not from Southern California, is this wonderful thing that Gary Marshall, Penny Marshall, the Marshall family basically do as a labor of love.
It's true.
I mean, they bring big name act. You know, I'll drive by there and see, like, I think one time I drove by there, 'cause my office used to be like a couple blocks away, and I think I saw Al Pacino's name up on the marquee.
Sure.
I mean, these big, and they like doing children's plays, and that's a lot of what you did, wasn't it?
That is a lot of what I did. I was the children's theater development guy over there, and that was amazing. That really was. But you're right. Gary works with his family and with his extended family, who I like to lump myself into, and brings this quality theater to Toluca Lake adjacent or Burbank adjacent. It sits right there on the cusp.
It's like Broadway on this street corner across the street
from Bob's Big Boy.
Bob's Big Boy. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's an amazing local phenomenon here in Southern California. And if you're not from the LA area, if you come into town, that's one of the things you ought to check into, find out what's going to be on stage.
Yeah, it's great shows. It's a small, intimate theater, but it's great shows. Great ticket price, free parking. That's what he likes to boast about, free parking.
And the hot dog place across the street.
It's gone.
Are you kidding? They tore down Marie Callender's. Now they tore down the hot dog stand.
It's gone.
What is this world coming to?
I know.
Papoose.
Papoose hot dog show.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I ate many a BLT there.
Exactly. Yeah. Joseph Leo Bwarie on MartiniInTheMorning.com. Off the road is Frankie Valli. How many times did you go on stage as Frankie Valli? Do you know?
I think at the end we decided that it was somewhere between 1,500 and 1,600 shows.
No kidding. Did Frankie Valli ever come to see you in the show?
No.
We were trying. One of the things we were trying to do. We were talking maybe get you a gig here, and one of the things Frankie Valli used to bust my chops. Now I interviewed him a few times, and he busted my chops because in doing this format, trying to decide, well, are we going to play pop songs? Are we going to play standards? What are we going to do? And he busted my chops over not playing his music. He said, well, I've done standards before. And the only one I could find, and we play it sometimes on...
I've got you under my skin.
I got you under my skin, which is very Four Seasons.
Very Four Seasons.
But on our Twin Spin thing, where we'll play like Frank Sinatra's version or Steve Tyrell's version, and then we'll play Frankie Valli's, and it stands out, and it shows this flexibility, versatility of this music.
Right.
I mean, just like what you did with Stand By Me.
Right.
I mean, that song, for all intents and purposes, is a standard.
Sure.
But you took it and showed that it could be done a different way.
Yeah, big band swing standard, yeah.
Absolutely. But now, what I didn't know, in Jersey Boys, you did, as Frankie Valli, there were some other standards. Didn't you do, like, I'm in the Mood for Love?
I'm in the Mood for Love and Moody's Mood.
Yeah. Which the McHugh family absolutely loved. We had Jimmy McHugh, who wrote that with Dorothy Fields. Judy was in the studio with her son Lee Newman, and Lee, I think he said he's been to Jersey Boys. He's probably seen you 45 times.
Yeah, because the first song is "I Can't Give You Anything But Love," and that's that was so on my album. That is my tribute to Jersey Boys.
Makes total sense.
Yeah.
Jimmy McHugh, Dorothy Fields, the song Joseph Leo Bwarie on MartiniInTheMorning.com.
It's tough. I got nothing but love.
MartiniInTheMorning.com. It's just after 10 a.m. on the west coast of the United States. We lied to Joseph Leo Bwarie. What do people... I know Dina Martin, who's also produced by Charlie Colello.
Yeah.
You met John and Dina.
Yeah.
Her, as she likes to call him, her handsome husband, John. By the way, if you're in New York, last chance tonight to see Dina on stage at Feinstein's in New York. Feinstein's at the Lowe's Regency. John and Dina refer to you as Joey.
Yeah.
And I've heard other people. What do you? Somebody that's known you for 25 years. What do they call you?
Joey.
Joey.
Yeah.
Okay. It's just Joseph Leo Bwarie. Has anybody ever suggested shortening your name?
Some people did.
Radio disc jockeys who have too many martinis sometimes have trouble getting the whole thing out.
Is that maybe you? No,
I don't know. Could be. We've got some questions from the Martini in the Morning chat lounge. If you've got do you have to go somewhere?
No.
I mean, if we run a little long, is that okay?
That's okay.
Okay. We have, if you go to the Martini in the Morning chat lounge, you'll see MITM questions. Send a private message to that person, to that tab, and you can ask a question. From Debbie, any chance of having a duet with, is it Camilla Marshall?
Camila.
I don't know Camilla. Who's Camilla Marshall?
Well, she is incredible. I'm gonna give you all her information. Camila is a friend of mine for life, and she was truly a friend of my cousin's. But great performer. She was one of Bette Midler's Harlettes in Vegas.
Oh, I met her.
Okay, there you go.
She came to Lucy's one. Remember, we had a couple gals that came into Lucy's with a friend, and she said she had been one of the Harlettes. Oh my gosh!
There you go.
I knew that.
So
name.
anyway, she's also has an album out, not standards, but she could sing anything, and you'd be happy with it.
Oh my gosh!
So is there going to be a duet? Nothing scheduled, but I might drag her up on stage. When I'm playing the Hollywood Bowl.
There you go. Nothing like shooting for the top.
That's
man.
right.
We there's some great jazz clubs here in town that when we just love to see you up on stage and with a band. How many pieces are you going to travel with when you go out on tour?
Probably 9 or 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
we got several stages here in LA that would easily accommodate that.
Okay.
If Seth MacFarlane can take 23 pieces, I mean,
Yeah.
9 will work really
Maybe
well.
I should just open for Seth and use his 23 pieces.
There you go. Ron Jones. If Ron Jones got his hands on these arrangements, he would go nutty. He does all the arrangements for the songs on Family Guy,
Sure.
on all Seth's shows. And for Christmas, the Christmas show last year, they used like 90 pieces. And Ron loves these huge breath. Well, if you've heard the music on the show, I mean,
Of course, I'm a big fan of that show.
It's like this. Another question: who among the people you would normally consider an expert at doing doing standards? Who would, if you had a favorite?
Vocalist?
Yeah.
Ella Fitzgerald.
There you go.
Yeah.
Can't get much better than that.
She knows her way around a song, doesn't
First
she?
lady of song.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
she's very good.
That was from Dan Olivo, the official number 2 Dean Martin fan of the world. Let's see. Lynn Menifee, whom I got to mention, is actually our sponsor, one of our sponsors this hour. We have our
Hello, Lynn.
Our listeners come in and they sponsor hours of music, and it beats the heck out of running 18 minutes commercials an hour like on broadcast stations. Also, Peter Ackerman in Alexandria, Virginia, and Phillida Hutchison in Waleska, Georgia. Lynn wanted to know. Oh, I just asked you that question. Lynn, you already got yours. Adrian in New York. Okay, we answered that one. I should pre-read this stuff. You can tell I'm really prepared. You guys want to talk amongst yourselves? Somebody asked about, when you went to audition for Jersey Boys,
Yeah.
how familiar were you with Frankie Valli and his music?
I was. I wasn't to the full extent of the whole catalog that I would then sing for 5 years, but who doesn't know Sherry and Walk Like a Man and all those ultimate famous songs? But I didn't know anything about the story of the Four Seasons, how they came together, how they essentially came apart, and that's what I think is so great about that show.
Let's see. This is somebody who says they've seen Jersey Boys. Lala from London, Danny Chaso, said that she's seen Jersey Boys in London several times. Some of the songs in the show have a lot of high notes. Did you find it difficult to hit the high notes, and did you have any rituals to protect your voice?
Rituals to protect my voice, no, but I treat myself well, But from the time I was a kid here, growing up right near Capitol Records, I was hired to sing high notes as a kid.
Really?
Yeah, and sang a lot of high notes on some great. I'm on the Manhattan Transfer Christmas album singing high notes.
Really?
Oh yeah, and that's what I was hired to do: sing high notes for a lot of background records and film and television scoring.
So you've been doing that for a long time. It's just
high notes are my gig.
Wow, that's very. I get the question though, because it can be hard on your voice. My vocal cords having been surgically repaired. The doctor told me afterwards. He said, "Okay, the three things that are the worst things for your vocal cords: chocolate,
which I love.
Yeah, caffeine, and alcohol." And it's like, why live?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but it's just natural for you.
Yeah.
When you guys did these songs, one of the things that I really got me was, Umbrella was a good example of it, but also on If I Had You do something fun with the song. At the very end of the song, you actually go into lyrics from another song.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah, because you're doing If I Had You, and then you go into, what's at the end of the song? Well, let's listen.
Okay.
And then I'll remember what it was.
Me too.
It's MartiniInTheMorning.com. Joseph Leo Bwarie from his album Nothing But Love. Okay, so you did say.
I did.
Yeah,
I did.
So because I thought you said the song that you went into that little bridge thing.
Yeah, we just kind of changed it up a little bit there,
and then sort of from If I Had You into It Had. But you said it has to be you.
Yeah.
Oh, I did. But it is.
Charlie and I both are really big on sort of surprises, just little.
And
so
that is. That's
okay.
a little thing, and a lot of people probably haven't noticed it.
Right.
And I don't think I noticed it until I'd maybe heard the song 4 or 5. And I listen for the stuff like that. That's the stuff. And we were talking about this with the microphones off. We were talking about these these arrangements and the ability to do something that makes it stand out, so it doesn't sound like, you know, I mean, look, If I Had You has been recorded 10 million times, and you guys took some, I mean, tempo-wise, you did it a little differently, and then that little thing at the end, a little surprise, and it's like adding the verse. There are a lot of these songs, like you do the verse on the front of the Jimmy McHugh, Dorothy Fields song,
Right.
I Can't Give You Anything But Love, and a lot of artists don't do the verse.
Right.
So just little things. Any surprises like that coming on the next album?
Yeah, maybe even more.
Really?
Yeah.
How could you possibly surpass this?
I don't know, but we'll see what we come up with.
We had an interesting conversation a couple months ago with, it wasn't long after we found your album. It was probably March or April. I had a conversation with John Pizzarelli. We had him on the air. And,
he's awesome.
Yeah.
And Bucky, of course.
So one of the things we were talking about in the interview, the Paul McCartney Standards album, Kisses on the Bottom, had just come out, and John and Bucky both played on the album. And it's funny how certain guitar players are their style and sound is so distinctive, and that's very true of John and Bucky, and Eric Clapton, who also played on the album, and all different, you know.
Very.
But I asked John, I said, so John, he explained the Paul McCartney thing, how he and his dad ended up on the album. And then I said, so what about your dad on this Joseph Leo Bwarie album? I said, we hadn't heard of Joseph Leo Bwarie until a couple of months ago, and here he's got Bucky Pizzarelli playing guitar. And John said, who? And I said Joseph Leo Bwarie. So we're talking about something else, and I'm telling him about you on the air, and then we go into a John Pizzarelli song, and come back at the end of the song. I know what happened. John texted his dad, because all of a sudden John went from who to telling me which songs he played on, and how, you know, how did you wind up with Bucky Pizzarelli is a legend in this genre.
It's funny because you just ask questions. I mean, that's all I do. I ask questions. And I said to Charlie, I said, you know who's from New Jersey? Bucky Pizzarelli. And Charlie says on the phone, yeah, Bucky, you want me to call him? And I said, yeah, I do. You know, Bucky played the guitar on Stand By Me for Lieber and Stoller.
I had no idea.
Yep.
No kidding. That must have been fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the songs that he played on, talking to Joseph Leo Bwarie, his album Nothing But Love. In fact, you can win it today, and he just autographed the ones we're going to be giving away. So not
I
only
did,
and he has writer's cramp still from signing that long three-part name.
You know, I didn't ever shorten my name because I'm named after my grandfather, who was Leo Joseph, and I'm obviously Joseph Leo, and that meant something to me. And so I didn't want to take that away from that. We have that connection, he and I.
I always wondered, and I wanted to ask you about it because there's that Hollywood thing too, where if you're in SAG, the Screen Actors Guild, there can only be
one. Which
one.
I have been forever. Yeah.
There can only be one Joseph Leo Bwarie.
There is only one.
Like he became a country singer, Michael Martin Murphy. He started out as Michael Murphy in his recording career, and then when he started acting a little bit, there was a Michael Murphy already in SAG, so he had to add his middle name.
Sure.
That's why I wondered if
no, because there's no other Bwarie, period.
Oh, that's a good point.
In SAG, but Lebanese.
You're Lebanese?
Lebanese. My father's Lebanese.
My stepkids are part Lebanese.
Yeah.
I wondered because you get the eyes.
The best food ever.
Oh my gosh, absolutely.
Right?
Joseph Leo Bwarie on MartiniInTheMorning.com. One of the songs that we're talking about, how unique certain guitarists, the greats, you can hear their style. And Bucky Pizzarelli does a guitar solo on this song that's absolutely amazing. Irving Berlin's What'll I Do? Joseph Leo Bwarie on MartiniInTheMorning.com. Wasn't that right at the end too? You hear it's so Bucky Pizzarelli.
So Bucky.
But it was funny when I brought it up to John. I mean, this is the thing about you. I mean, as soon as I mention your name to people who are big fans of Jersey Boys, and I'm not saying I'm not a fan, I've just never seen it, because we.
Well, now you can't, because I'm not in it anymore, so there's no point.
It's like, what's the point?
Right.
Exactly. We started this little business. Instead of my staying with a big corporate radio company, we decided to take, because we believed in this music, so we started our own business, and now we're thinking, what the hell were we thinking? But so the point there is we don't get out much. So the reason we haven't seen Jersey Boys, I would have loved to have seen it, because now when I talk to people, when I mention your name to people who are who are fans of musicals and have seen the show, they say, "Oh my God!" They go crazy over you. I mean, you built this huge fan base from those 5 years playing Frankie Valli, but when then step into this thing, and I asked John, and then he has. I'm positive I could see him doing it, texting his dad and saying, "Who's Joseph Leo Bwarie?" And so for people who say, "Who's Joseph Leo Bwarie?" What are we going to do to make you a household name for those people, like you've done with the Jersey Boys fans?
I don't know. I guess we got to just start playing around the country, huh?
There's an idea.
Yeah.
We got to get you on stage here in L.A.
Yeah, let's do that.
I mean, we've been, Mother Miriam and I had a meeting yesterday at Vitello's, and one of the things that we proposed to them, and they love the idea, and I think it's going to happen starting next month. We're going to do a live broadcast every Wednesday. We used to do it at Lucy's in Toluca Lake, which is the former legendary Money Tree. Sure. Now at Vitello's, we're going to add another dimension to it. The plan is, should we talk about it? Yeah. The plan is that every Wednesday, that one Wednesday a month, we're, instead of doing it down in the restaurant, which has been totally, you won't even know it. It's beautiful.
Oh, I've seen pictures.
Open, the whole front's open to the street.
Looks incredible.
Yeah, and the food's fabulous. So
they changed the menu too.
Try the raviolis.
Okay.
I'm just telling you, try the raviolis.
Okay, I will.
With pesto.
Okay.
Extra garlic.
Okay.
All right. So, but upstairs, and they're going to start renovating the jazz club upstairs. Our proposal to them is that one Wednesday a month that we'll go up, we'll do the lunch upstairs, do the broadcast upstairs, and that we'll have nothing fancy, not like, having you come in with 10 guys, but we'll have piano, vocal, some, scaled down thing, and just for our listeners, a private show with some artists we play on Martini in the Morning. And the reason we wanted to do that is because, Vitello's, like, there are really three clubs here in town that you really talk about when you talk about jazz. It's Vitello's, Vibrato, Herb Alpert's Club, and Catalina's Jazz Club. To be able to do something at Vitello's exclusively for our listeners in that room where so many great people have played, it's just, a chance to do something intimate and very personal. So anyway, we were talking about you. We were telling them about your album and about, that it's like you're this gem that nobody's discovered. I mean, that's just waiting to be mined.
Okay, let's do some mining.
Go to a microphone. If you're going to ask them a question, share it with our listeners.
Come on over here. Share with me. Come on, share with me.
I'm sure that
that's scary. It's some of the things she shares.
Shush. I'm just saying.
I mean, they have drugs, but
there's probably a lot of people who aren't going to like this. But to me, you're the new Michael Bublé.
I love that.
But I mean that. I'm not just saying that.
What's funny? What's funny about saying that is that you have that level of talent and certainly these arrangements, but you are you. I mean, it's like, somebody will say, it's just another Michael Bublé. But what you do in your style is very distinctive.
Yeah.
We love you.
I love you.
We do. Well, that's a good thing, but we really...
Our audience
really do, and we're thrilled that you're here.
It doesn't happen very often.
Thank you.
Our audience absolutely flipped over your music, and we're thrilled that you came. Let me see if there are any more questions in the chat thing
let's
here
check.
real quick. And anything about Joseph Leo Bwarie that nobody knows that we should know?
No.
You're an open book.
I mean,
you
know what's fun for me to be here actually is because this is my hood. This is my neighborhood. This is where I grew up, and so when I was a smidge late this morning, and I know you thought maybe I was lost. There's no way to get lost. I mean, I could find this place without a GPS.
I bet. Yeah, yeah. Well, because where did you grow up actually? What area?
Well, Sherman Oaks, really.
Yeah.
I went to St. Francis de Sales down the street.
Really?
Yep. And
So you're a homeboy.
Yeah, this is it.
Your folks live in Pasadena?
No, that's where I was born. I was born in Pasadena at Huntington Hospital.
Oh.
And I love Pasadena. I just love Southern California. But you know what? In the 5 years I've been gone, the traffic has quadrupled.
Oh.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it gets worse every day.
Yeah. It's unbelievable.
I mean, the kids went back to school yesterday or the day before, and the traffic just multiplied. I'm trying to think. There were a couple other questions. When you were doing Jersey Boys, favorite place? Any place?
Like favorite city?
Yeah.
Some really things I didn't really think I would love. I loved Des Moines. I loved Austin, Texas was fantastic.
Love Austin.
Portland was my last stop, and what a send-off that was. A great, great, great city. I love the East Coast, Boston, all those New England cities. Providence is a great place. Florida's fun. America's pretty wonderful. North Carolina, you been to North Carolina?
Yeah,
Beautiful.
Yeah. What an opportunity for you to go out and see the country.
Oh, yeah. Incredible.
How many players, how many people traveled with
the whole company is about 50 people, but that includes, management, stage management, the band. We travel with about 9 players, and then we get a sub-musician in each city. But local crew join us in every city, so in the end, there's at least 100 people that bring Jersey Boys to life every night.
Any strange things happen backstage?
It's live theater. I mean, you can't go a show without something being momentous or funny or frightening or wrong.
Joseph Leo Bwarie. The album is called Nothing But Love. And thanks again to our sponsors, Peter Ackerman in Alexandria, Virginia, Phillida Hutchison in Waleska, Georgia, and Lynn Menifee. Thanks for getting all excited about
Yeah, thank you so much.
Joseph Leo Bwarie, the poster we have on the back wall, designed by Lynn. She's working on some business cards for us now. We don't have any business cards, but we'll send you one.
You'll get some soon.
Exactly. MartiniInTheMorning.com, the album Nothing But Love, Joseph Leo Bwarie. Well, that was fun. He's what a nice young guy, very talented, and we're very fortunate to have accidentally discovered him. And I got to think, and I was going to do this earlier, but I think he's on an airplane right now. But our friend Steve Cox in where is Steve? Houston, I think, or San Antonio. Anyway, Steve saw Joseph at South by Southwest in Austin. It's a big music festival in Austin, Texas. Saw him there back in I want to say it was in February, and March. And Steve emailed me. He said, "You've got to hear Joseph Leo Bwarie." And it was like a week after South by Southwest. So now that gives me the time frame. We heard from Steve, and he had Joseph's manager send us a copy of the album. I'm going to play one more of his songs.